So this is the story of the emperor has no, well, the emperor's new clothes. And I love fairy tales. I love fairy tales, and I remember reading when I was about 30. I think I just turned 30 when I read Women Who Run with Wolves, Myths and Stories and the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. The Emperor's New Clothes is something that has such a great philosophical wisdom because it talks about and invites you to understand that you must be open to good criticism, critique, directions, kind of like an idea of pivoting. And you need at least one doc holiday, at least one. And if you don't have a doc holiday, then you better go find yourself one. And most women have a doc holiday, but most men don't. And so we're going to start the story. The illustration is by Karl Lagerfeld. It's a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It was published in the Atlantic Monthly Press in 1992 in Koppenroth Verlag Münster. Printed in Germany, okay? I wish, once I get my camera set up, I'll go ahead and, as I do fairy tales, hopefully we'll go. And the reason why we're doing fairy tales is because we are spiritually getting our asses kicked. You cannot be as spiritualist as you are and not be hurting. And because of that, we need to fill moments of our lives with some nectar. Many of you are not getting any nectar, not from your beloved lover. And being a mother is giving nectar. But being a woman, you're probably not getting enough nectar. So hopefully, as we read this, I want you to close your eyes, and I'll do my best to do a good job reading it. So let's begin. The Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago, there was an emperor who was excessively fond of new clothes, and he spent all his money on them. He cared nothing about his soldiers, nor for the theater, nor for driving in the woods, except for the sake of showing off his new clothes. He even had a guardian for his dressing room. He had a costume for every hour in the day. And instead of saying, as one does about any other king or emperor, he is in his council chambers, here one always said the emperor is in his dressing room. Life was very gay in the great town where he lived. Hosts of strangers came to visit it every day, and among them, two swindlers. They gave themselves out as weavers and said they knew how to weave the most beautiful stuffs imaginable. Not only were the colors and patterns unusually fine, but the cloth that were made of these stuffs had the particular quality of becoming invisible. And to every person who was not fit for the office he held, or if he was impossibly dull, those must be splendid clothes, thought the emperor. By wearing them, I should be able to discover which men in my kingdom are unfitted for their posts. I shall distinguish the wise men from the fools. Yes, I certainly must order some of that stuff to be woven for me. He called the two swindlers and paid them a lot of money in advance so that they might begin their work at once. They did put up two looms and pretended to weave, but they had nothing whatever upon their shuttles. At the outset, they asked for a quantity of the finest silk and the purest gold threads, all of which they put into their own bags while they worked away at the empty looms far into the night. I should like to know how those weavers are getting on with the stuff, thought the emperor. but he felt a little queer when he reflected that anyone who was stupid or unfit for his post would not be able to see it. He certainly thought that he need have no fears for himself, but still, he thought he would send somebody else first to see how it was getting on. Everybody in the town knew what powerful power the stuff possessed, and everyone was anxious to see how stupid his neighbor was. I will send my faithful old minister to the weavers, thought the emperor, and he will be the best able to see how the stuff looks, for he is a clever man, and no one fulfills his duties better than he does. So the good old minister went into the room where the two swindlers sat working at the empty loom. Heaven preserve us, thought the old minister, opening his eyes very wide. Why can't I see a thing? But he took care not to say so out loud. Both the swindlers begged him to be good enough to step a little nearer and ask if he did not think it a good pattern and beautiful coloring. They pointed to the empty loom, and the poor old minister stared as hard as he could, but he could not see anything, for of course there was nothing to see. Good heavens, he thought. Is it possible that I'm a fool? I've never thought so, and nobody must know it. Am I not fit for my post? I will never do to say that I cannot see the stuffs. Well, sir, you don't say anything about the stuff, said the one who was pretending to wave. Oh, it's beautiful. Quite charming, said the old minister, looking through his spectacles. This pattern and these colors. I will certainly tell the emperor that the stuff pleases me very much. We are delighted to hear you say so, said the swindlers. And then they named all the colors and described the particular pattern. The old minister paid great attention to what was said so as not to be able to repeat it when he got home to the emperor, and so he did. Then the swindlers went on to demand more money, more silk, and more gold to be able to proceed with the weaving. But they put it all into their own pockets. Not a single strand was ever put into the loom, but they went on as if they were weaving at the empty loom. The emperor soon sent another faithful official to see how the stuff was getting on, and if it would soon be ready. The same thing happened to him as to the minister. He looked and looked, but as there was only the empty loom, he could see nothing at all. Is it not this beautiful piece of stuff, said both the swindlers, showing and explaining the beautiful pattern and colors, which were not there to be seen. I know I am no fool, thought the man, so it must be that I'm unfit for my good post. It is very strange, though, however, one must not let it appear. So he praised the stuff he did not see, and assured them of his delight in the beautiful colors and the originality of the design. It is absolutely charming, he said to the emperor. Everybody in the town was talking about this splendid stuff. Now the emperor thought he would like to see it while it was still in the loom. So, accompanied by a number of selected courtiers, among whom were the two faithful officials who had already seen the imaginary stuff, he went to visit the crafty impostors, who were working away as hard as ever they could at the empty loom. It is magnificent, said both the honest officials. Only see, your majesty, what a design, what colors. And they pointed to the empty loom, for they thought no doubt the others could see the stuff. What? Thought the emperor, I see nothing at all. This is terrible. I am a fool. Am I a fool? I'm not fit to be an emperor? Why, nothing worse could happen to me. Oh, it's beautiful, said the emperor. It has my highest approval. And he nodded his satisfaction as he gazed at the empty loom. Nothing would induce him to say that he could see anything. The whole suite gazed and gazed, but saw nothing more than all the others. However, they all exclaimed with his majesty, it's so beautiful, lovely. I've never seen anything like it. and they advised him to wear a suit made of this wonderful cloth on the occasion of a great procession which was about to take place. It is magnificent, gorgeous, excellent, went from mouth to mouth. They were all equally delighted with it. The emperor gave each of the rogues an order of knighthood to be worn with their buttonholes and the title of gentlemen weavers. The swindlers sat up the whole night before the day on which the procession would take place, burning 16 candles so that people might see how anxious they were to get the emperor's new clothes ready. They pretended to take the stuff off the loom. They cut it out in the air with a huge pair of scissors, and they stitched away with needles without any thread in them. At last they said, "Now the emperor's new clothes are ready." The emperor with his grandest courtiers went to them himself, and both the swindlers raised one arm in the air as they were holding something and said, "See, these are the trousers, this is the coat, and here is the mantle," and so on. It is as light as a spider's web. What one might think one had nothing on, but that is the very beauty of it. "Yes," said the emperor. "Yes, yes," said all the courtiers. But they could not see anything, for there was nothing to see. "Will your imperial majesty be graciously pleased to take off your clothes," said the impostors, "so that we may put on the new ones along here before the great mirror?" The emperor took off all his clothes, and the impostors pretended to give him one article of dress after the other of the new ones which they had pretended to make. They pretended to fasten something round on his waist and to tie something on. This was the train. And the emperor turned round and round in front of the mirror. "How well his majesty looks in the new clothes! How becoming they are!" cried all the people around. "What a design! What colors! They are most gorgeous robes." "The canopy is waiting outside, which is to be carried over your majesty in the procession," said the master of ceremonies. "Well, I am quite ready," said the emperor. "Don't the clothes fit well?" And then he turned around again in front of the mirror so that he should seem to be looking at these grand things. The chamberlains, who were to carry the train, stooped and pretended to lift it from the ground with both hands, and they walked along with their hands in the air. They dare not let it appear that they could not see anything at all. Then the emperor walked along the procession under the gorgeous canopy, and everybody in the streets and at the windows exclaimed, "How beautiful the emperor's new clothes are! What a splendid train, and they fit to perfection." Nobody will let it appear that he could see nothing, for then he would not be fit for his post, or else he was a fool. None of the emperor's clothes had been so successful before. "But he has nothing on," said a little child. "Heaven, listen to the voice of innocence," said his father, and what the child had said was whispered from one to another. "But he has nothing on," at last cried all the people. The emperor writhed, for he knew it was true, but he thought the procession must go on now. So he held himself stiffer than ever, and the chamberlains held up the invisible train. The end. This reminds me of a CIA story, which I'm going to tell you. I've told you this story before, but it comes to mind. The CIA had gathered a one man. There were 12 of them in a room. That's the number I first heard, 12. And one man who thought that all the other 12 CIA agents were actually just like him, men off the streets. I've told you this story before, but I'll tell it to you again because it works perfectly with this story. And these CIA agents were shown a picture of a pyramid, of a triangle. And all of them said, one by one, "Oh, it's a rectangle." The ninth man said, "It's a rectangle." And again, shown, it's a rectangle. It's obvious. What are you showing this for? All the way up to the 13th man, who looked at what was obviously a triangle and not wanting to look like a fool, being afraid to stand for his own or, to advocate for what he saw. Instead of saying it was a triangle, he said it was a rectangle. The fear of not belonging, the fear of not being part of a group outweighs, for the average person, anything at all. People want to belong. People want to feel like they are part of something. And when we are breaking new ground, right? When you're out there doing new things that people are very uncomfortable, you have to be very comfortable with being a lone wolf. Very, very comfortable. And most people aren't at all comfortable. And so this story is a twofold story. One is, never capitulate to lies. Never capitulate to your fear of not belonging. And always have a Doc Holliday by your side, which means if the emperor had a Doc Holliday, not somebody kissing his ass, not somebody afraid of their own post or their own recognition, but somebody who would turn to him and say, "You're nude, Emperor. There are no clothes. In fact, you're absolutely nude. You can't go out there." He would have not suffered the indignation of being hustled by the two swindlers. The ego of the human condition and the human experience has to be mastered. Being offensive is not as concerning to me as being in your honesty. And if your honesty in a particular timeline offends others, they can go fuck themselves, because it's very important that you honor your truth. And sometimes truth itself for the greater good of all humanity. These stories are so luscious and sweet. And I think the next story I'm going to actually read to you guys next time is actually called The Cat Who Taught Zen by James Norbury. And it's an amazing story. It'll take a long time. It'll probably take parts 1 and part 2. It has a very I love the art because it's a very Japanese feel, very sweet feel. I'm going to see and look for The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, that version, not the bullshit Disney. And again, that also has a beautiful wisdom to teach for people who give away everything they got in hoping that they are loved and seen. It's quite something, isn't it? Sometimes the act of loving yourself actually helps, believe it or not, helps humanity. Because once you become enough into yourself, and once you're here not to cater to people's foolishness and their little egos, like for example, we have somebody in the big White House, right, in a big fucking house, he definitely is an emperor with no clothes, okay? And no one's had the balls to tell him as of yet. Or maybe he's a foolish man who will not allow anyone to be his Doc Holliday, but I can assure you he doesn't have a Doc Holliday. He has people who don't give a fuck. They want their money. I'm going to do some tarot reading right now. Not tarot, but I think it's a good idea to look at doing a reading. And I'm going to go from the Isis Oracle deck by Lana Fairchild. And I want you to pick a card, top, bottom, or middle. I'm really excited. I think this is a good way for us to start segueing into some holiday spirit. And I don't mean shopping. I mean just getting our heads together. Not punishing ourselves. Not feeling guilty that we can't do more with the shit show. You and I both know you can do a lot. You can do a lot. And you know that you can meditate. You can manifest. You can chant. You can raise your frequency so high that it catapults other people to wake up. You understand? So do not feel bad. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, my sweetheart. So when you're ready, pick top, bottom, and middle on the Oracle deck of the Isis Oracle. Let's go right into the feminine power. And let's see what we got going on. Okay, thank you, Angie. That's very kind. When you're ready, top, bottom, and middle. Let's do it. Let's read what power has to share with us. Bottom. I'm going to stop now. Bottom. Majority wins. Top. You got it. Top. Okay, rising sun, the divine solar child is reborn. Well, hello. So let me say it again. Rising sun, the divine solar child reborn. Well, I think you deserve it. Many of you know who you are. And so if you hear this on a recording, believe me, it's for you as well. Or else you wouldn't be listening. Rising sun, you're not going to believe the fucking number of the page. It's 144. 144,000. It's 9, God's perfect master number. It's a hell of a number. Okay, so let's go ahead and read from Rising Sun 144. Bear with me while I find the page. I'm actually quite excited. I'm glad I'm doing this. All right, let me read it to you. So again, the divine solar child reborn. A dark phase and struggle is over. A new phase is upon you, one of hope, glory, light, and triumph. It is won through boldness, persistence. Even when you felt like giving up, you chose to stay strong, to surrender to the divine, and continue with the path. You have been through so much, and now victory is upon you, beloved, for the divine solar child. A new consciousness within you is born. Wow. I'll continue. There's more. As we journey into the ancient feminine, there are many, many times where we met her dark face. We must be patient, accepting, allowing. Often what we meet are the difficulties of birth, literal and symbolic. We might feel great emotional or physical pain, spiritually bereft, alone, and yearning for a deeper union. Perhaps even wondering if what you seek could be a genuine experience, or if it is the stuff of daydreams and fantasies. During times of despair and struggle, we come back to our hearts, searching for faith within, searching for signs to support us as we take the long journey down the spiritual birth canal into love and even greater expression. It might take us weeks, months, or so many years to birth ourselves over and over again into more of our divine essence. Some birthing processes that are deeply profound will feel as though they take most, if not all, of our lifetime on this planet. The wounded Chiron, the wounded healer. At another level, many lifetimes will constitute one birth process. However, no matter how much we encounter the inner workings of the womb of the divine feminine, there are always moments of entering the light of birth into a new world as a new being, into a new reality transformed. These moments are precious and herald the beginning of a new level of divinity, expressed, often in deeply creative new ways. The divine solar child being born brings new light into your life, likely to express itself in multiple forms. Revived and new relationships, new inspirations and opportunities in your work and spiritual life, more love, enjoyment, new or more energized community, greater well-being and experience in your body, creative abilities that you didn't even realize you had opening up effortlessly as you surrender to allow the body and creative faculty to flow. These are some of the gifts that are given to you by the universe at the cosmic baby shower for the birth of the divine solar child. The sweetness of the gifts of this new life make it all came before it so sacred and worthwhile. To honor and accept the past and the courage it requires of us, and yet to accept that it is now time to turn our face to the light and partake of the fruits of our inner labors, is what this oracle ordains. Symbolized by the headdress of a cow horn with a golden disc within, worn by Egyptian goddesses including Isis, and the symbolism of Isis nursing her divine child Horus at her breast, the oracle of the rising sun brings with it a new day, dawn, breakthrough, end of struggle, and the genuine and stable birth of optimism and hope for you now. So one of the rituals of the rising sun is getting up in the early morning, pre-dawn, right? Like checking your phone for weather, and in weather it tells you when the sun rises, and putting your alarm clock on, going out barefoot in the soil. Hopefully you have some I don't know, a garden or some, I hope to God you do. If not, then in your terrace. I hope you have a terrace. And if not, then hopefully with a partner, what have you, going to a beach or a mountaintop. It's worth it. How many sunrises have you seen in this incarnation? I mean, how many? And ritually accepting every move you've made in this incarnation. All the grief, all the pain, all the joy, all the triumphs, all the deaths, all the births, and everything. Forgiving yourself in what you wish you had done, the what ifs, the what if you could go back into time, stopping a move, an angry word, or a fear-filled choice that made you run instead of stay. So in those moments, right, is when you release it. You release it and you forgive yourself and you forgive others. And you keep going back and forth until it feels as if it's done, as if you really have let go. I'm going to do another oracle. Hang on for a quick second. I'm going to do it from the Divine Feminine. It's all Divine Feminine, so let's look at that. Okay? And the same thing, I'm going to ask you to, as I shuffle, I'm going to ask you to pick top, bottom, or middle, but give it a few seconds, okay? Give it a few seconds. Top, bottom, or middle. When you're ready, thank you for sharing the live, Jennifer. Middle. Okay, I'm going to stop. Middle, majority wins. Top, bottom, or middle? Middle, bottom, top, middle. I'm going to go with middle. Okay, so the card is a saint. It's called May Bago, the warrior saint. I am a warrior of love. My devotion attracts resources and support. Okay, hang on, okay? Again, her name is May, M-A-I, Bago. Okay, this is page 134. 134 is 8. It's karma. It's filled with karma. Like kind of hopefully, again, forgiving yourself. And let me read it to you. May Bago represents the otherworldly courage and resourcefulness that comes with deep devotion and commitment. May Bago was born in the 17th century in what now is Amritsar, Punjab. At the beginning of the 10th Guru Gobind Singh, she was raised a devout Sikh and was raised by her father to use a sword so that she could uphold the Sikh tenet to defend but not attack. When she was a young woman, her village was threatened by Mughal forces. She heard that the Khalsa, or the warrior saints appointed by the Guru to defend the Sikhs, had defected and were fleeing back to their villages. May Bago took her sword and went from village to village, convincing the warrior saints to go back and protect the Guru from the advancing Mughal army. She gathered 40 men to fight with her, and on December 29, 1705, the small, courageous band of Sikhs warriors rushed out to protect the legacy of their religion in the Battle of Muzaffargarh, with May Bago as their leader. May was the only one to survive. Guru Gobind Singh blessed these 40 men and declared them Chali Mukti, the 40 liberated ones. May became the Guru's personal bodyguard and dressed in men's attire until she retired and spent her last years immersed in meditation. May Bago is considered a great Sikh warrior saint. The house where she spent her last years in meditation has been converted into a Gurdwara, a Sikh place of worship. Her sword and musket are on display as saint relics and as a symbol of her fierce courage. May displayed out of her devotion to the Guru. She saved the Sikh religion from extinction. Wow, this is wild. Any comments on that? Did you know? We're going to pull another card from the same deck of Divine Feminine. I think it's very important for us to remember the past women that have been long forgotten. I mean, come on. Did you know this story? I didn't know it until just now. So that's the other thing, is we have no movies, no books about these women, at least not in the Western world. Let's put it that way. Top, bottom, and middle. Let's do another one. I really feel like we need more stories of divine, powerful feminines. We need their strength. We need to be inspired by their power in a world that was clearly misogynistic. Okay, when you're ready, top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Top. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Top. Okay, I'm going with top. You're not gonna believe it. She came back. She came back, and you heard me shuffle. I hope you did. Do it again. Let's do it again. This is insane. She came back. Okay. When you're ready, do it again. Top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. I need one more. I need one more. She's cool. She is cool, man. She's like, yeah, don't forget me. Don't forget me. May Bago. Middle, bottom. Okay, I need a tiebreaker. So far I got bottom and middle. I need a tiebreaker. Come on. Top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Anybody? I need a tiebreaker. Bottom. Okay, cool. If she comes back, I'll eat my hat. Okay. Magique Labdron, the diamond-hearted Dakini. I see the light in my own darkness. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. This is important. I was talking about this earlier today, which I have to upload on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, folks, by the way. So again, let me repeat myself. It's Magique Labdron, the diamond-hearted Dakini. I see the light in my own darkness. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. Fantastic. I love that. Okay, let me look it up real quick. Bear with me. It's on page 125. And here again, we get to the number 8, which is, again, karma. You know, karma, looping. Hang on for a quick second. Okay, let me begin. Who is she? Magique Labdron takes the dark and transmutes it into only more light. Tibetan Buddhists believe that Yeshi Tsigol was reborn as Magique Labdron and that both were incarnation of the female Buddha. Vajra Yogini, Magique's mother, had an auspicious dream right before giving birth. 7 Dakinis poured water over her body, blessing her, purifying her, and prophetically relating that this little baby girl would also be a Dakini. As a young woman, Magique made a living by reading the Prajnaparamita Sutra, or the Heart Sutra, which is the most beloved wisdom text in the Mahayana Buddhism. People considered it a great blessing to have it read in their homes. After leaving a monastic order, Magique married and lived what is referred to as the red and white essence of mystical union. She practiced Tantra union with her husband while raising a family together. Her son became one of the great successors. Magique developed the Tantric Buddhist practice of Chod. These teachings were the first Buddhist teachings to emerge in Tibet. Chod is referred to as the cutting off ritual. A demon, according to Magique, is anything that obstructs the achievement of freedom. I'm going to read this to you again because I think this is big. Hang on, okay? Hang on, I kind of... Okay, Chod. So it's C-H-O with 2 little dots over the O, D. Okay? It's referred to as the cutting off ritual. A demon, according to Magique, is anything that obstructs the achievement of freedom. Demons then are ego beliefs, not scary, hairy beasts, but inner barriers that keep us from realizing the nature of reality. The Chod practitioners visualize their demons and then mentally cut off parts of their body as an offering to the demon. Magique holds a traditional Tibetan Chod drum, a damaru, in one hand and a bell, ganta, on the other. Magique, like Yeshi Tsigol, lived until she was 99 years old, which is, again, the power of 9. And then, according to Tibetan Buddhists, she reincarnated as Lama Tsultrim Alyon, an American Buddhist teacher. Alyon explains in her book, Feeding Your Demons, that Chod is a method for bringing our shadow into consciousness and accessing the treasures it holds rather than repressing it. This powerful, unbroken lineage of female transmission reveals to us that enlightenment is about making the darkness conscious. When you select this card, from Mashik's perspective as an enlightened female, she knew that the difference between a god and a demon had to do with our reaction to them. Those who cause us pain, she explained, also teach us patience, whereas those who bring gifts can distract us from our spiritual path. No one and no single situation has the power to derail us, that is, unless we let it. The power rests within us. The spiritual path for Mashig was to become intimate with her inner demons, those thoughts or beliefs that kept her from experiencing joy, bliss, and pure love. The darkness within us isn't actually dark. It often feels threatening because some aspects of our intuition knows that when we face it, we will reclaim a lost part of our soul. We will heal. We will become more whole. And that, ironically, can be terrifying. We get so used to functioning with only one wing, we wonder, how can I fly now with two? I'll go too far, too high. Who will I become now that I'm free? And who will I lose in the elevation of my soul? Mashig is here to support us in seeing what's really to come to consciousness. She's here with her diamond heart to hold us as we feed one of our demons, not with fear, but with the knowledge that bringing it to life and into the light will help us set us free. This is profound because one of the things, well, there's a couple things, but one of the things I come across when I work with clients, whether it's on hypnosis, Akashic readings, or even just, tarot readings, right? Or coaching. Some of them have expressed, like 50% of my clients have expressed that they are terrified of ascending because of who they will leave behind. That's number one. Some of the clients are terrified of their shadows. That also stems from their being molested when they were babies. They're terrified. Some of them are terrified of having children, not because the world is shit at this point, but because they're afraid of being as bad as what they feel their parents were bad to them. So when you really excavate yourself and you kind of see the humanity in your family, right? You kind of like, it's okay to be angry, by the way. No one's asking you to be a welcome mat. But it's important to also know what created this situation. It could be that you had a brother or sister and you no longer speak to them, or other family members and you cannot speak to them, or friends you outgrew. Don't ever be afraid of outgrowing your friends. They either grow with you or it's time to move on. And the universe will gather new soul tribe members who are actually more in line with where you're going. Okay? We're going to do one more because I really love this deck and I think we're getting a lot of wisdoms from this. So when you're ready, pick one, top, bottom, or middle. Let's do one more. When you're ready, right, left, top, bottom, or middle. Okay? When you're ready. Top, bottom, or middle? Middle. Okay, middle. What's the icebreaker? I need a, well, we've only had one person choose. Middle. I'm not going to make... Middle. Okay, cool. Let's do middle. Okay, the next... Okay, I love her. Okay. Sappho. The only reason why we know Sappho existed is because of the fragments. That's why when you look up Sappho, you'll see... it'll say Sappho's fragments. And she was a lesbian. She wrote lesbian poetry on the island of Lesbos, Lesbos, which, lesbian, that's where it comes from. Sapphic love means love of another woman. All right, so let's look it up. So it says here, Sappho the poetess. I love every inch of my body, and I love the women in my life fiercely. So some of it was romantic love, and some of it is beautiful, a pure love. That is platonic love. Hang on for a quick second. I'm looking for Sappho. Why can't I find it? This is so funny. Bear with me. I honestly, what the fuck? am I not being able to? Okay, here it is. 182. So 182 is 11, the muzzle lion, but it's connected to the moon, 11. It is not a master number. It's a number that where you have to master yourself. So what I mean by that is 11 turns into 2, and then you become the high priestess connected to the moon. All right, let's read this. 182. Who is she? Sappho embodies the deep love, admiration, and sensuality that exists between women. It is believed that Sappho was born around 630 BCE on the Greek island of Lesbos. She was referred to in antiquity as the 10th muse and the poetess, just as Homer was referred to as the poet. She is one of the great lyricists and one of the few known female poets of the ancient world. She read her poems rhythmically while accompanied by a lyre in a form that is now known as Sapphic meter. Sappho is celebrated for her sexuality and sensuality in her poetry, especially her love for women and the female body. Fill, fill the goblet up, these laughing lips shall I kiss the brim. Come, Venus, come. This is one of the fragments that remain of her voluminous collection of poetry. Ecclesiastical authors in Constantinople and Rome obliterated her work in the 11th century. Her poetry was publicly burned because church leaders were scandalized by its erotic nature and that the author was a woman. In ancient Greece, a woman's love for another woman was considered natural, and Sappho's love for the female form became legendary. It is believed that she read her writing before groups of women, educating and elevating them as she performed her poetry about the goddess-like nature they all possessed. She had a school, an academic school. The reason why we know her work is because her work was copied by some of the great philosophers and statesmen. Cicero would quote Sappho. That's actually why we know her. They actually burned all her work, and what was kept behind are because she was quoted by other great minds. It's the only that's why they're called Sappho's fragments. We only have fragments. When your soul selected her card, instead of exhausting ourselves with the unholy effort of comparing our bodies to others, or of competing for resources that are actually unlimited, Sappho urges us to do the most revolutionary thing we could ever do: love ourselves and our sisters fiercely. We can't recover Sappho's lost poems, but we can reclaim the enduring spirit she left us. We can become her poetry. We can revel in the pleasure we are capable of feeling. And we can love unapologetically with the full spectrum of our emotional range and from the fathomless depth of our hearts. Lift up a woman in your life. Help her reach a dream she's been incubating. Take time to indulge with lady loves in your life. Go to a spa. Make a dinner together. Go skinny dipping. Do something outrageous that celebrates the fact that you love each other. Sappho is about the power of loving every inch of a female form. Spend a day flooding your thoughts with positive affirmations about your body or a woman's body. Take long baths with red rose petals. Do something nourishing that acknowledges your love for the fact that you are a woman and for the radiant women who constellate your life. Right on, man. And again, go skinny dipping. It doesn't have to be sexual. You don't have to sexualize everything. You know, it could be she's your sister from another mother, right? But it's about like saying, I am enough unto myself. One of the great statues from I think it's Neanderthal time or whatever. It's called Venus de Willendorf, and she's got pendulous breasts and a big bulging stomach. She has no face, barely any face anyway, and that would have been considered beauty. I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? What are we fucking doing? And unfortunately, some men, not all men, and but mostly social media. And before there was social media, there was fashion magazines that really berated women. For, you know, I mean, I remember women who were like 5'11" saying that they were 120 pounds, and this was a flex. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I can't tell you how many women would lie about their weight, you know? So this fear of being imperfect and yet such perfection in being a woman, you know? All right, we're going to do one more. I think I love these cards, and I think we're going through something really cool together in that this is helping a healing. And then I think I might read from Life Between Lives. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how you guys feel. When you're ready, top, bottom, or middle. top, bottom, or middle? When you're ready. Bottom. Okay, so I'm going to stop bottom. I need a tiebreaker or a breaker. Bottom, bottom. Oh, I'm so glad, my love. So top, bottom. I need a tiebreaker, my friends. Bottom, top, or middle. Bottom, top, or middle. Don't think, just type up whatever you think. No? Bottom. Okay, got it. Green Tara, the Buddha of enlightened actions. My soul informs my every step. I do what my heart compels me to do. Fantastic. Let's read that. So this is Green Tara. Bear with me. Let me look this up. I'll tell you what page this is. Green Tara. What the hell is wrong with me? I'm going to... 113. Okay, 113 is 5. It's Mercury. It's connected to communication. It's number 5, right? And yeah, it's about speaking your truth, being there for yourself. Self-advocacy, advocacy for others. You know, the Buddha of enlightened action. Okay, who she is. Green Tara embodies the emboldened state that overcomes fear and allows us to take action on what we know is right. Tara is a female Buddha. In the Vajrayana Buddhist tradition, she is known as the Mother of Liberation because her name is derived from root to cross. Tara insists all beings in crossing the ocean of suffering to liberation. According to the Tara Tantra, eons ago, Tara incarnated as a king's daughter. She showed such spiritual excellence and such profound compassion that she impressed a group of monks. They told her that they would pray for her to be reborn a man so that she could reach enlightenment. I'll stop here for a minute. I'll stop here. When do you think religions turned against the high priestess? When do you think? How far back can we go? I'm going to say 3,000 years. That's been for me personally, that's been the number for me. 3,000 years ago is when we lost the fucking plot. And whenever we incarnated as men, we actually thought that we were luckier than the women who were born. So let's continue. You're going to love this because I know this story. So they told her that they would pray for her to be reborn as a man so that she could reach enlightenment. She responded by enlightening them. She told them that there is no such thing as male and female. The ideas, projections, and expectations that we superimpose onto the male form and the female form are not real. Their contrived form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Tara vowed then and there before all the monks that she would remain a female Buddha for all lifetimes until all beings were liberated from the illusion that a person's sex determines their ability to become enlightened. Bingo! Oh, let's just go back to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene being his equal and not the apostles. The apostles weren't equal to Yeshua. Mary of Magdalene was an equal to Yeshua. And she was enlightened. Let's continue. Tara has 4 different types of enlightenment, activity, and divine attributes, depicted symbolically through the colors red, white, black, yellow, and green. Green Tara is Tara's embodiment of compassionate action or enlightened action. Her green color signifies vigor and vitality. Her mudra also represents vitality and the purity of our life force, the prana mudra. She is the action we take from a deeply rooted place within our hearts. She is the energy that seeks to act in enlightenment with what will free us as we liberate others. What will free us as we liberate others. In other words, until you are okay with your darkness and shadows, until you realize that this too shall pass, until you can forgive yourself, you actually are not doing anything for the collective. The minute you start healing and accepting yourself and loving little bits and parts of yourself, you know, Chiron, the wounded healer, Chiron, who's not fully healed, but is aware or comes into awareness. It's kind of the spiritual onion, unraveling this, and here comes, or like the Russian dolls. with every doll, you go, oh, I've healed this. I'm okay now. Oh, fuck, here's another doll, you know. Here's a fucking other level, right? It's pretty amazing. When your soul selects her card, Green Tarot is that sacred nudge to get moving, to do what it is that your soul compels you to do. Don't sit with an idea or a project any longer. Take action on it. Don't think about a friend who keeps coming into your heart. Go bring her dark chocolate or send her a love letter. Don't wait to express your love to someone you've needed to go. Do it now. Here's something you've heard before. Stop the eulogies. Write the love letter. To your brother, your father, your mother, your sister, your best friend, your lover, an ex. Write the love letter. Not to bring them back. Not for anything that would be given to you, but just because you're carrying it in your heart. Tell the truth. Let your feet be moved by what has been caged within you. Let your wisdom shift into inspired action. Tara is the message that the time for action is now. There's nothing to wait for, and no person you need to become before doing what you've come here to do. Start small. Let the soul lead, not the ego. Why not the ego? Well, because the ego is kicking the shit out of you. Because the ego is always in fear. Because the ego is all about status quo. Didn't we hear the story of the emperor's new clothes? Let the soul lead, not the ego. It's not the grandeur of the gesture or effort. It's the amount of love something is done with that ever matters. There's so many injustices in the world, so much suffering that it's easy to get stuck in the molasses of helplessness. The brilliant Burmese diplomat Hun San Suu Kyi says, if you're feeling helpless, help someone. Green Tar is about aligning what moves us to tears with compassionate action. Did you hear that? The word action, 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 urgency, move, do something, help someone else. I can't help myself. It's okay. Help someone else. Who needs help? Who needs a cup of tea? Who needs a funny joke? Who needs a talk on the phone? Or a casserole of food? Green Tara is about aligning what moves us to tears with compassionate action. She's the push to do something, anything that might alleviate the suffering of others. In the process of taking action with love, and from love, we also liberate ourselves. And we start seeing the value in ourselves. And we started realizing how important we are. In the smallest things. Would you like to pick another card? I thought that was brilliant. You want to pick one last one? Because I was going to make this our last one, but damn, this is good. You want to pick another one? Top, bottom, and middle. Let's do one more. Okay, this one's definitely the last one, I promise. Let's see what's the next message. And again, this is going to be uploaded on YouTube, just so you know. With the same image. You'll see this is the exact image, so you'll know that you're in the right video. When you're ready. Top, bottom, or middle. Okay, thank you, Sandy. They are beautiful messages, aren't they? Okay, I need a deal breaker. I've got a top and I have a middle. I need a breaker top. Okay. White Buffalo Calf Woman, the prophetess of the sacred way. I feel like crying. You guys are getting kick-ass card. White Buffalo Calf Woman, which we are in that timeline, just saying. The prophetess of the sacred way, my heart is a compass. The path of love is true abundance. Okay, let's read her message. White Calf Woman. Bear with me. Okay, it's 154, which is 10. And 10 is the wheel of fortune. 10 is Isis Osiris. It's the wheel of fortune. It's sometimes the wheel goes up, you got good luck, and sometimes it goes down. And then it goes down to the single compound number 1, which is connected to the sun, which is now you can see everything. See, don't get depressed over look, no, hang on, let me back up. I'm not saying don't get depressed. Get sad over what you're seeing, because it's an appropriate situation for an appropriate horror, okay? But know that before we can go on to the next level of the ascension, we have to see the shit show for what it is. And the sun Everything, all of the illusions, all the lies, everything is fully exposed before your eyes. And one is connected to the sun still, which is healing energy. Your face up against the sun, right? When you take a nap on a beach in the woods and your face is so warm by the sun, there's healing here. It's not just shit. All right, so who is she? White buffalo calf woman represents the sacred vision that gives us hope that all will be provided for us. Tzitzan Vui, or white buffalo calf woman, is the primary cultural prophet of the Lakota religion. Buffalo are considered sacred to the Plains people and are seen as messengers from the ancestors. A Lakota legend says that 2 young scouts went out in search of food during a famine. They saw a stunningly beautiful woman appear before them in radiant white light. The first scout approached her with unholy intentions. He was lustful. I'll add that. He was lustful and he had sexualized this vision. And the second scout watched as the first man turned to bones the instant he tried to touch her. She was clearly Lila Wakan, very holy. Thankfully, he knew this. She asked him to approach her because she could see into his heart and knew his intentions were good. She told him to prepare for her arrival in the village. He went back and gathered everyone together. She appeared before them and taught them the 7 sacred rites of the Lakota people, including the sacred pipe ceremony that binds men and women together in a circle of love and mutual respect. When your soul selects this card, White Buffalo Woman is a sacred reminder that we don't have to struggle to receive all that we've desired. When we join our heart's longing into action, we find that there's a sacred way to move through the world. This sacred way is a path of steady, quiet alignment between the heart's intention and our every step. White Buffalo Calf Woman is an omen of hope that all will be provided for us when we approach each situation with love. That's it, love. That doesn't mean love your enemy. To be honest, I'm going to be straight up. It means don't let your enemy create such despair in you that you are frozen, stiffened from action. It means pulse love into what you want. What do you want for this planet? How will it benefit you? Well, it will benefit you immeasurably. Actually, we can't quantify how much we will touch the nectar of a true abundant life if we pulse love into ascending an incredible movement of a new society across the planet. We don't have to do anything of any violence. None is needed. Our energy is that powerful that we do not consent and we bring about what we need. White Calf Buffalo Woman is an omen of hope that all will be provided for us when we approach each situation with love. What she wants us to focus on is the intention behind an action because that changes the outcome. She's a sacred prophetic sign that we can receive what we need without fighting for it or trying to secure it through manipulation. Did you hear that? You're watching people right now all over as the manipulators of avarice and cruelty. And these things don't last. They turn into dust in the hands. Water in their mouths will turn into sand. That's me saying that. The colors and spectrum of sunsets will be blackened. They will not be a match to the magnificence of your power to co-create a new earth. When prayer joins right action, when we move from the intention of creating only more love, then abundance is inevitable. What is abundance? Love, health, and wealth. What is wealth? Having all you need. And when we seek not just for ourselves, but also for the benefit of our loved ones and community, our needs are divinely met. The most sacred path is the one abundant with love. My God, aho. This was great. Any questions? Did you want me to read anything else? I think do you want me to do anything else? Tell me if you want me to do anything else. This is beautiful. If you were a little boy and a little girl and used to love fairy tales, I highly recommend you go back to seek out the books that were read to you. I hope you were read to. And you go back to some of the old stories and you recapture the joy of yourself as a child. I'm going to read this to you. It's actually from a book that came out in I think it was 1900. Hang on, let me look at the copyright. Bear with me. I think there's one. The copy I have is from 1925. Yeah, it actually came out in 1925. Holy shit. It's called Silver Pennies by Blanche Tennings Thompson. They're beautiful books. Life has loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things. Blue waves whiten on a cliff, soaring fire that sways and sings. And children's faces looking up, holding wonder like a cup. Life has loveliness to sell, music like a curve of gold. Scent of pine trees in the rain. Eyes that love you, arms that hold, and for your spirit still delight, holy thoughts that star the night. Spend all you have for your loveliness, buy it and never count the cost. For one white singing hour of peace, count many a year of strife well lost. And for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have been or could be. This is actually poetry for children, I kid you not. And give yourself magic. If you were never given magic as a child, this is your sign to give yourself magic. If you want a Tonka truck and you never got one as a little boy, buy one. If you want a particular Barbie you always wanted or a doll, buy it. If you want a doll house and you never had the perfect doll, go get it. If you want fairy tales, beautiful, luscious stories, and you just want to be a little girl, little boy, do it. Moving forward, we'll be reading more fairy tales every day. And I think I might actually grab one of my son's books called The Pumbaa of Badumba. Just funny little tales that bring giggling, tickling energy into your belly. All right, amazing. The love of our hearts can move mountains in ways we can't perceive. Wow, yes. Confirmation not to stall on dreams. Absolutely. Do not. And be in your magic. Be in your power. Understand the passions that you have, right? Hang on, let me read this real quick for you. This is from the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Let me see if I can find something. Hang on. It's incredible. It's all about samurai, Japanese, Listen to this. We're gonna switch it up a bit. Listen to this. This is on page 118, the Book of Five Rings. The important thing in strategy is to suppress the enemy's useful actions, but allow his useless actions. However, doing this alone is defensive. First, you must act according to the way, suppress the enemy's techniques, foil his plans, and thence command him directly. When you can do this, you will be a master of strategy. You must train well and research holding down a pillow, which isn't a book. The concept of using, this is my takeaway, just so you know, is using someone's perceived strength against them. It reminds me of these little martial artsmen. And when I mean little, I mean like 5 foot, 5'2", and probably 100 pounds soaking wet, who would do demonstrations. I used to see them in the 70s and 80s, who used to do demonstrations with these big, brutish type of, muscular guys, and literally use their energy against them, and the guy would be on the fucking floor with the little master standing over them, smiling kind of sweetly. You don't fight fire with fire. In fact, you don't fight. what you do is you harness and you master your thoughts. Your thoughts, how you see the world, how you contrive to co-create the new earth is actually more dangerous than any concept of becoming a warrior. The path for this ascension is the way of the high priest and priestess, the way of the shaman. It is not the way of the warrior. This is the end of that. It is the shamans who build the new earth. It is not the warriors. All right, my loves, I'll upload this on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube and Patreon. I have a section that's free. Feel free to follow me on Patreon. And so glad. I will always love Sleeping Beauty and King Arthur stories. Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Me too, actually. I love Sleeping Beauty. I did a whole thing on Sleeping Beauty and on the metaphor and the archetypal symbolism of Sleeping Beauty. I might also read from The Women Who Run with the Wolves, again, keeping in the theme of fairy tales and weaving in some realities. You know, we're not here to play like we're not going to dumb us down to being like 3-year-olds, but we are going to take the magic of fairy tales and pull away some of the beauty and yet its powerful philosophies. All right, much love. Namaste, be well.